You wake up every morning with a mind full of numbers, full of lists, full of what others have that you do not. And before the day even begins, you have already measured yourself against someone else's journey. You look at their success, their appearance, their confidence, and suddenly your own life feels small. But let me tell you this, the only life that matters is yours. The only path that counts is the one you are walking. Comparison is the thief of joy. It steals the light from your achievements. It steals the energy from your effort, and it convinces you that you are never enough. But the truth is, no one can live your life the way you are meant to. No one can feel your struggles, your victories, your growth. Your journey is yours alone, and it is more powerful than any mirror of someone else's life. When you stop comparing yourself, you begin to see clearly. You see the beauty in your progress, no matter how small. You see the strength in your resilience, no matter how quiet. You see the value of your story, no matter how different it looks from the rest of the world. Because greatness is not measured by someone else's standards, it is measured by the courage to be yourself, to rise despite fear, and to keep moving when others may doubt you. The moment you let go of comparison, you unlock freedom. Freedom from envy, from regret, from the endless race that has no finish line. You can finally focus on creating your own vision, your own life, your own meaning. You will learn that the world does not owe you validation. It does not owe you approval. It does not owe you recognition. All it owes you is the chance to live authentically, to show up for yourself, and to embrace your journey with confidence. Remember this, your path will not be perfect. There will be failures, there will be doubts, there will be days you feel small. But when you stop comparing, you understand that every step you take is significant. Every choice you make is a declaration of your courage. Every effort you put in is a testament to your commitment to yourself. You are enough. You are worthy. You are powerful in ways you cannot even imagine. Imagine waking up every day and immediately looking at what others have, what they achieve, what they own, how they look, how confident they appear. It feels natural because society has trained us to measure success by comparison, to think that if someone else has it, then we are lacking in some way. But the truth is that comparison is an illusion, a trap that steals the joy that should belong to you. Your journey is unique, and it does not follow the same timeline, the same obstacles, or the same opportunities as anyone else. When you start to realize this, the weight of comparison begins to lift. You start to see that your path, however winding or slow it may feel, is exactly where it needs to be, and every moment of your experience is shaping you into someone distinct, someone who cannot be duplicated or replaced. The danger of comparison is that it convinces you that your worth is tied to what someone else has or has done. You scroll through social media and see people posting achievements, vacations, promotions, or images of perfection. And suddenly your own life feels insufficient. You start to ask, why am I not there yet? Why do they seem to have it all while I am still struggling? But here is the secret that many overlook. You are looking only at a fragment of someone's life. No one shares their failures in the same spotlight. No one shows the hours of effort, the mistakes, or the moments of despair that came before their visible success. What you see is not the full story, and comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel is unfair to your own journey. Your life has its own rhythm, its own lessons, its own victories, and recognizing that truth allows you to step out of the endless loop of comparison. When you embrace the uniqueness of your path, you begin to value your own milestones. That small step forward that might seem insignificant in someone else's eyes is actually a profound sign of your growth. Every challenge you face, every time you choose to rise after a setback, every decision to keep moving forward despite fear, these are the markers of your personal journey. You cannot measure them against anyone else's timeline because they are yours and yours alone. The power of understanding this is that it shifts your focus from envy to self-awareness. You start to notice the things you have accomplished, the strengths you possess, and the potential you are cultivating. You begin to realize that life is not a race. It is a process of unfolding, and your story is exactly as it should be. Comparison also limits your potential because it distracts you from what truly matters. When you are constantly looking at what others are doing, you are not paying attention to your own ideas, your own passions, your own growth. You are spending energy on external measures that do not define your life, and in doing so, you may miss opportunities to develop your unique talents. Every person has a set of abilities, interests, and experiences that no one else has. When you focus on your own journey, you start to cultivate those gifts instead of trying to fit into someone else's mold. You create your own definition of success, your own standard for achievement, and this freedom allows you to grow without the weight of comparison holding you back. Another essential aspect of this truth is understanding that everyone's journey is different because life itself is unpredictable. Some people face challenges that you may never see, some encounter opportunities that you cannot replicate, and some experience lessons that are unique to their circumstances. Your path, too, has its own challenges and opportunities, and trying to copy someone else's trajectory only leads to frustration and disappointment. The more you acknowledge that your experiences are unique, the more you cultivate patience, resilience, and trust in your own pace. Life is not about catching up or keeping up. It is about showing up fully for your own journey. Your journey is unique. And once you truly internalize that, you discover freedom. Freedom from envy, from doubt, from the pressure to meet someone else's standards. You can begin to celebrate your own victories, no matter how small they seem. You can honor the effort you put in each day, the progress you make, and the lessons you learn along the way. Every step is significant, every moment matters, and your journey is shaping you into someone no comparison could ever define. Stop letting the shadow of someone else's life dim the light of your own. Embrace your path, trust your timing, and understand that your story is remarkable because it belongs to you and you alone. Growth is a deeply personal journey, one that cannot be measured by someone else's achievements, possessions, or timeline. Yet, so often, we fall into the trap of thinking that if we are not matching the progress of those around us, we are somehow failing. This is a misunderstanding because growth is not uniform. It does not follow a straight line, a fixed pace, or a universal standard. Each person's path is shaped by their own experiences, their own challenges, and their own decisions. When you start to understand that growth is personal, you free yourself from the unnecessary burden of comparison and begin to focus on what truly matters: your own development, your own lessons, and your own evolution as a human being. The first step in embracing personal growth is recognizing that your journey is unique. No two people face the same circumstances, and no two lives unfold in the same way. You might encounter obstacles that others never will, and they might enjoy advantages you cannot access. That does not make either experience better or worse. It simply makes them different. Understanding this allows you to stop measuring your progress against someone else's success. Instead of asking why you are not where someone else is, you begin to ask how far you have come, what you have learned, and how you are evolving. This shift in perspective is transformative because it moves your focus inward, where it belongs rather than outward, where judgment and comparison reside. Personal growth requires patience, persistence, and self-compassion. It is not a race. And there is no universal timeline for becoming the best version of yourself. Some lessons take years to learn, and some skills take decades to master. You may stumble repeatedly before reaching a level of understanding or competence that feels significant to you. And that is okay. Your pace is yours alone, and every step you take, no matter how small, contributes to your journey. When you accept this, you stop feeling inadequate when others achieve milestones faster or in ways that seem more visible. You learn to honor your own process and recognize that growth is about progress, not perfection. Another vital aspect of personal growth is understanding that it is not always visible to the outside world. Often, the most profound changes happen internally, in ways that others cannot see. Your mindset shifts, your resilience strengthens, your self-awareness deepens. These are victories that cannot be measured by trophies, titles, or accolades. While others may chase external signs of success, you begin to appreciate the quiet, often invisible progress that defines your journey. This awareness allows you to build confidence in your own abilities, knowing that growth is happening whether it is recognized externally or not. Focusing on your own growth also means embracing your individuality. You cannot become someone else, nor should you try. Your strengths, weaknesses, passions, and talents are unique to you, and they define the way you evolve. By trying to follow someone else's path, you risk neglecting your own potential. True growth emerges when you nurture your own gifts, face your own fears, and pursue your own goals. When you measure your life by your own standards, you unlock the freedom to create a future that is authentic and meaningful, rather than one dictated by comparison or societal expectations. Personal growth is also a journey of reflection and learning from experiences. Every success and failure teaches a lesson, and every challenge strengthens your character. When you focus on your own development, you start to see life as a series of opportunities to evolve rather than a competition to win. You become less concerned with how your progress appears to others and more invested in the quality of your journey. You understand that setbacks are not signs of inadequacy, but stepping stones toward growth, and you develop resilience that comparison could never provide. Ultimately, growth is about becoming the best version of yourself, not about surpassing someone else. It is a lifelong process that requires dedication, self-awareness, and the courage to trust your own path. By understanding that growth is personal, you liberate yourself from the pressures of comparison and create space to focus on what truly matters: your development, your journey, and your fulfillment. When you honor the uniqueness of your growth, you realize that your life has value independent of anyone else's achievements. You begin to appreciate your progress, embrace your potential, and walk your path with confidence, knowing that the only standard that matters is the one you set for yourself. It is easy to get lost in the highlight reels of other people's lives. Social media conversations and even casual observations make it seem as though everyone else is achieving more, doing more, and living more fully. And when we focus on that, we begin to measure our own worth against what we see on the outside, forgetting that we are only seeing fragments of someone else's story. Progress is personal, and it is quiet. It happens in moments that no one else notices, in choices that are invisible to the world, and in perseverance that goes unseen. When we stop comparing and start focusing on our own journey, we begin to recognize that progress is not defined by public acknowledgement or visible milestones. It is defined by the small, consistent steps we take toward our growth, the challenges we overcome, and the skills we cultivate along the way. Focusing on progress rather than someone else's highlight reel requires shifting attention from external validation to internal development. It is natural to admire achievements, but admiration becomes dangerous when it turns into comparison. You may see someone's promotion, their recognition, their lifestyle, or their accomplishments and feel that your efforts are inadequate. But the reality is that every person has a unique path, and the timeline for their progress does not reflect yours. By focusing on your own progress, you reclaim the energy you spend measuring yourself and redirect it toward actions that strengthen, improve, and elevate you. Every small victory becomes a building block, every lesson learned a step forward, and every moment of perseverance a sign of advancement. The beauty of focusing on your progress is that it cultivates self-awareness. When you take the time to assess your growth, you see how far you have come rather than how far you have yet to go. You notice the skills you have developed, the challenges you have overcome, and the resilience you have built. Each day becomes an opportunity to reflect on improvement rather than regret or envy. This perspective allows you to celebrate your achievements in a meaningful way, recognizing that they are yours and yours alone. No one can take them from you, and no one else's progress diminishes the significance of your own. Comparison often leads to frustration because it is based on perception rather than reality. We rarely see the struggles, sacrifices, and failures that accompany someone else's success. When we measure ourselves against what appears effortless or glamorous, we forget the countless hours, mistakes, and hard decisions that contributed to that outcome. Your own progress, however, is tangible. You have felt the effort, endured the challenges, and earned each step forward. Recognizing this truth allows you to value your own journey, to trust your pace, and to cultivate patience with yourself. Progress becomes a source of empowerment, not anxiety, because it is grounded in your reality rather than someone else's projection. Focusing on progress also nurtures motivation and determination. When you compare, you may feel defeated, overwhelmed, or stuck. But when you shift your focus inward, you see the power in your actions. Every effort matters, every attempt contributes to growth, and every failure is an opportunity to learn. Progress is cumulative, often invisible in the moment, but undeniable over time. The small decisions to keep moving forward, to learn, to practice, and to adapt compound into meaningful transformation. This understanding changes the way you approach your goals, giving you patience with the process and confidence in your capacity to achieve. Another critical aspect is that progress is personal and measurable only by your own standards. What matters is not how fast you move, how others perceive your achievements, or how your journey looks compared to someone else's. What matters is whether you are moving in the direction that aligns with your values, goals, and potential. Each step taken in alignment with your purpose is progress. Each lesson learned from mistakes is progress. Each moment of courage to face discomfort, uncertainty, or fear is progress. By focusing on this, you reclaim ownership of your life and your achievements, removing the influence of external comparison that can lead to doubt, frustration, and stagnation. Ultimately, focusing on your progress rather than someone else's highlight reel allows you to live authentically. You stop chasing validation from outside sources and begin honoring your own journey. You recognize that the only standard that truly matters is the one you set for yourself, and that your growth is defined by the effort, courage, and consistency you bring to your own life. You learn to celebrate your wins, to learn from your setbacks, and to trust the process of your development without distraction or envy. When you choose to focus on your progress, you free yourself from comparison, embrace your own journey, and move forward with confidence, knowing that every step you take is meaningful and every effort contributes to the life you are building. Self-worth is one of the most misunderstood aspects of life because it is so often tied to external validation. We live in a world that constantly measures us by achievements, recognition, appearances, and other people's opinions. From a young age, we are taught to seek approval, to chase praise, and to measure our value against the standards of others. This leads to a dangerous misconception that our worth depends on what others think of us or how we compare to those around us. But the truth is that self-worth is internal. It is a quiet, unshakable sense of value that comes from within, independent of anyone else's judgments. When you begin to understand this, You start to free yourself from the chains of comparison, envy, and self-doubt, and you begin to embrace a life of authenticity, confidence, and fulfillment. External validation is fleeting. It changes from person to person and moment to moment. One day someone may praise your work, your appearance, or your ideas, and the next, they may overlook them entirely. Relying on others for your sense of worth is like building a house on sand. It can shift, crumble, or vanish without warning. True self-worth, however, is grounded in knowing who you are, understanding your values, and recognizing your inherent potential. It does not rise or fall based on likes, compliments, achievements, or comparisons. It is constant, steady, and resilient because it is rooted in your awareness of your own significance, not in the fluctuating opinions of others. When you understand that self-worth comes from within, you begin to see that comparison is not only unnecessary, but also harmful. Comparing yourself to others implies that someone else's life is a measure of your value, but it is not. Everyone has a unique journey, a different set of experiences, and a distinct set of challenges. Their achievements, possessions, or status do not define your potential or diminish your capabilities. By anchoring your self-worth internally, you remove the need to look outward for approval or validation. You begin to understand that your life, your progress, and your efforts are enough because your value does not require external confirmation. Self-worth is also cultivated through self-awareness and acceptance. It grows when you acknowledge your strengths and embrace your weaknesses without judgment. It grows when you stop punishing yourself for imperfections and start appreciating your efforts and resilience. Accepting yourself does not mean complacency or ignoring areas for growth. It means recognizing that your value exists regardless of mistakes, setbacks, or limitations. When you internalize this, you build confidence in your abilities and trust in your capacity to navigate challenges. You no longer need to seek comparison as a measure because you understand that your worth is inherent, not conditional. Another essential aspect is the relationship between self-worth and authenticity. When you rely on external validation, you are more likely to shape your life, behavior, and decisions to please others or to fit societal expectations. This leads to frustration, stress, and a sense of disconnection from your true self. Internal self-worth liberates you from this pressure. You begin to make choices aligned with your values, pursue goals that resonate with your passions, and embrace the person you are meant to be rather than the version others expect. This authenticity strengthens your confidence and allows you to live a life that is meaningful, satisfying, and true to yourself. Focusing on internal self-worth also transforms your relationships and interactions. When you are secure in your value, you no longer seek validation or approval from others. You engage with people from a place of strength rather than neediness. You celebrate the successes of others without feeling diminished, and you can give and receive love, support, and encouragement without attachment or expectation. By valuing yourself independently, you elevate the quality of your connections and create a life based on mutual respect and authenticity rather than comparison and dependence. Ultimately, understanding that self-worth comes from within allows you to live freely. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of comparison and the constant need to measure yourself against others. It helps you trust in your own abilities, honor your own journey, and recognize your intrinsic value in every moment. You begin to see that your life has meaning, not because of what others think or do, but because of the person you are, the effort you put in, and the growth you embrace. When you anchor your self-worth within yourself, you step into a life of confidence, freedom, and authenticity, knowing that your value is unwavering and independent of anyone else's perception. Comparison feeds doubt. It sneaks in quietly, often disguised as motivation, but its true effect is the opposite. When you measure your life against someone else's achievements, possessions, or image, you begin to question your own worth, your own effort, and your own path. You start to ask yourself why you are not further ahead, why others seem to have it easier, why their life appears more perfect. These questions create a sense of inadequacy that chips away at your confidence and clouds your perspective. Doubt is subtle but powerful. It convinces you that your efforts are insufficient and that your journey is flawed. But the reality is that every person's path is unique. And doubt thrives when you forget that truth. Gratitude, on the other hand, is a force that builds strength. When you focus on what you have, rather than what you lack, you shift your attention from scarcity to abundance. You begin to notice the small victories, the lessons learned, the relationships nurtured, and the resilience developed. Gratitude does not mean ignoring your challenges or pretending that life is perfect. It means acknowledging the value in your own journey and appreciating the progress you have made. Every day that you take a step forward, every effort you make to grow, every time you face difficulty with courage, these are all moments worthy of gratitude. When you cultivate this mindset, doubt loses its power because your focus is no longer on what you lack but on what you have and what you are becoming. Comparison often amplifies doubt because it creates unrealistic standards. You look at the achievements of others and assume that their path was easier, their talent greater, or their circumstances more favorable. This assumption is misleading because what you see is only the surface. Every success has its own story of struggle, perseverance, and sacrifice. By comparing yourself to someone else, you ignore the full context of their journey and discount your own unique experiences. Gratitude, in contrast, grounds you in reality. It reminds you that your efforts, however small they may seem, are meaningful and contribute to your growth. It allows you to celebrate progress rather than lament perceived shortcomings, and it strengthens your confidence in your own abilities. When you practice gratitude, you also cultivate resilience. Life is filled with setbacks, challenges, and moments of uncertainty. If you are constantly comparing yourself to others, these difficulties can feel like evidence that you are failing. But gratitude shifts your perspective. You begin to see obstacles as opportunities to learn, setbacks as moments to build strength, and challenges as tests of character. Every problem you face becomes a chance to grow, and every difficulty overcome reinforces your confidence. Gratitude turns doubt into determination, fear into focus, and comparison into clarity. Comparison not only fosters doubt, but also drains your energy. You spend mental and emotional resources worrying about how you measure up, imagining how your life should look, and striving to meet standards that are not your own. This constant mental drain diminishes your ability to act, to create, and to enjoy the present moment. Gratitude, on the other hand, restores energy. When you focus on appreciation for what you have, you redirect your attention to action, growth, and fulfillment. You begin to invest your energy in what truly matters: your own journey, your own development, and your own happiness, rather than in chasing the illusion of someone else's life. Gratitude also strengthens your sense of self-worth. When you recognize the value in your efforts, the lessons in your struggles, and the progress you have made, you affirm that your life and your journey are meaningful. You no longer rely on external comparison to measure your value, because you understand that your worth is inherent. Gratitude allows you to appreciate your individuality, your strengths, and even your imperfections, seeing them as essential parts of the person you are becoming. This mindset cultivates inner strength, self-respect, and a deep sense of confidence that comparison can never provide. Ultimately, the choice between doubt and strength is shaped by your focus. Comparison may try to steal your confidence and fill you with uncertainty, but gratitude reminds you of your power, your growth, and your potential. When you focus on what you have accomplished, and what you are learning, You cultivate a resilience that allows you to face life's challenges with courage. Gratitude transforms your perspective from one of lack to one of abundance, from weakness to strength, and from self-doubt to self-belief. By letting go of comparison and embracing gratitude, you create a life where doubt loses its hold, and your inner strength shines through, guiding you toward growth, fulfillment, and true confidence. Every journey is built on countless small steps, yet too often we overlook them because they seem insignificant. We live in a world that glorifies grand achievements, visible milestones, and instant success, and in comparison, our own efforts may appear minor or inconsequential. But the truth is that every small step you take matters. Every choice you make, every effort you put in, and every action you take contributes to the life you are building and the person you are becoming. Progress is rarely a sudden leap. It is the accumulation of countless small moves in the right direction, each one shaping your character, your resilience, and your path forward. It is easy to underestimate small efforts because their impact is not always immediate or visible. A kind word, a moment of discipline, a single hour of focused work, or a simple choice to act with integrity may seem minor at the time. Yet these small steps have a ripple effect. They build habits, reinforce your mindset, and create momentum that carries you toward larger accomplishments. Every effort matters because it is part of a cumulative process. Success, fulfillment, and growth are not the result of a single moment or action. They are the sum of consistent small steps that, over time, create something remarkable. Recognizing the value of small steps also changes your relationship with patience and persistence. When you focus only on major achievements or compare your progress to others, it is easy to become frustrated or feel stagnant. But when you honor each small effort, you begin to see that growth is happening even when results are not yet visible. Each step forward is a sign of commitment and resilience. Each time you choose to keep moving, even when progress feels slow, you are building strength and preparing yourself for the opportunities that lie ahead. Your life is a mosaic of these small efforts, and each piece is essential to the bigger picture. Small steps also foster self-confidence. When you acknowledge your daily efforts, you start to trust your ability to move forward, regardless of obstacles or setbacks. Confidence is not built overnight. It grows as you prove to yourself consistently that you are capable of taking action and making progress. Even small wins matter because they serve as evidence that you can meet challenges, learn from mistakes, and continue on your path. Every small step is a building block of self-belief, reinforcing that your journey is meaningful and that your efforts have purpose. Another important aspect of valuing small steps is that they help you stay present. When you focus too much on the destination or compare yourself to others, it is easy to miss the significance of the moment you are in. Life unfolds in the present, in the decisions and actions you take right now. Each small step is an opportunity to engage fully with your journey, to learn, to grow, and to experience life in a meaningful way. By appreciating these moments, you cultivate mindfulness and awareness, allowing you to connect deeply with your progress and your potential. Small steps also build resilience and adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and the path to your goals is rarely linear. There will be setbacks, obstacles, and unexpected changes along the way. By taking small, consistent actions, you develop the flexibility to navigate challenges without losing momentum. Each step strengthens your capacity to respond to difficulties, adapt to change, and continue moving forward. These small actions accumulate into habits, skills, and attitudes that empower you to overcome obstacles and create the life you desire. Finally, understanding that every small step matters reinforces the importance of persistence. Success is not reserved for those who achieve dramatic breakthroughs. It is reserved for those who keep showing up, day after day, step by step, effort by effort. Your journey is unique, and each small action is a declaration of your commitment to yourself and your growth. Over time, these actions compound into results that may have once seemed impossible, and the path you create through consistent effort becomes a reflection of your determination, patience, and vision. When you honor the small steps you take, you see that every choice, every effort, and every moment of persistence matters. Your journey is built on these steps, and they shape the life you are creating and the person you are becoming. Every step is significant, and every effort is a part of your story. Freedom begins the moment you stop comparing yourself to others. It begins when you realize that no one else's life can define your worth, no one else's journey can dictate your pace, and no one else's achievements can diminish your potential. Comparison chains you to expectations that are not yours, to standards set by someone else's experience, and to judgments that distract you from your own growth. The moment you release the need to measure yourself against another person, you step into a life of clarity, empowerment, and authentic purpose. Freedom is not something that comes from external conditions. It emerges from within, from the understanding that your path is yours alone and that your value is inherent, not borrowed from someone else's approval. Living free from comparison allows you to focus on what truly matters: your own goals, your own passions, and your own evolution. When your attention is no longer divided by envy or doubt, you can direct your energy toward actions that create real impact in your life. You begin to honor your own time, your own efforts, and your own decisions without being distracted by the measure of someone else's success. This freedom gives you clarity because it removes the noise of others' expectations, allowing you to see your own priorities, strengths, and opportunities. It is in this space that creativity, growth, and confidence flourish because they are no longer contingent on comparison, judgment, or approval. Freedom also allows for authenticity. When you stop comparing yourself, you stop trying to fit into someone else's mold or meet someone else's standards. You can show up fully as yourself, embracing both strengths and imperfections without fear of judgment. Authenticity is a powerful form of liberation because it releases the pressure to perform, to compete, or to prove your worth to others. When you live authentically, your choices align with your values and your vision, and your actions reflect the person you are becoming rather than the image you think others expect. This authenticity builds confidence, trust in yourself, and a sense of purpose that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Comparison also restricts growth because it keeps your mind focused on what others are doing rather than what you can do. Freedom allows you to redirect your focus inward, to invest in your skills, your habits, and your personal development. Every effort you make, every challenge you embrace, and every lesson you learn becomes a deliberate step in your own journey, rather than a reaction to someone else's life. In this space, growth is genuine and sustainable because it comes from desire, discipline, and commitment, not from fear of inadequacy or the need to keep up. By freeing yourself from comparison, you reclaim your time, energy, and attention for the most meaningful work, building the life you want at your own pace. Another dimension of freedom is the ability to experience joy without restraint. Comparison often breeds envy, dissatisfaction, and constant yearning, making it difficult to celebrate your own victories. When you stop measuring your life against others, you open the door to genuine appreciation for your achievements, big or small. You begin to notice the progress you have made, the resilience you have built, and the lessons you have learned. Each step of your journey becomes a source of pride and satisfaction rather than a reminder of what you lack. In this way, freedom is not just about external release, it is about cultivating inner contentment, peace, and gratitude. Freedom also strengthens resilience. Life will inevitably present obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. When you are no longer tethered to the measure of someone else's success, these challenges feel less like failures and more like opportunities for growth. You learn to trust your path, honor your pace, and persevere in the face of difficulty without being distracted by the illusion that you are falling behind. This resilience emerges naturally when you focus on your own journey and embrace the freedom to define your success on your own terms. Ultimately, freedom begins when you honor your own journey, trust your own process, and recognize that your life's value is independent of anyone else's. It is a liberation from comparison, from judgment, and from the endless pressure to measure up. It allows you to live with authenticity, clarity, and joy, creating a life that is fully yours, shaped by your own vision, efforts, and courage. As we come to the close of this journey together, remember that your life is yours alone, and no one else can walk your path, face your challenges, or celebrate your victories in the way you can. Comparison may tempt you, doubt may whisper, but the strength, growth, and freedom you seek are already within you, waiting to be embraced. Honor your progress, trust your journey, and value your unique story. For every step you take matters, and every effort you make shapes the life you are meant to live. Carry this truth with you. Your worth is not measured by others. Your growth is personal, and your freedom begins the moment you stop looking outward for validation. Walk forward with confidence, gratitude, and courage, knowing that you have everything you need to create a life of authenticity, purpose, and joy. Good luck on your journey. Thank you for sharing this moment, and may you continue to rise, thrive, and shine in your own unique way.